Okay, can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now just to give you the background on what's going on here. This property and the one behind it and the one over here and the one over here all used to be one huge farm. And then the farm got split up, and my assignment here was to just do a boundary survey on the farm. But I discovered during the course of that survey, there's a little lot here that was part of the farms. It has a log cabin on it that was built in the 1800s. And there are a lot of encroachments onto the farm property. So the farm property said to the guy who owns it, uses it as an Airbnb, and said, we'll do a boundary line adjustment, fix all the encroachments, and then everybody's happy. So I got to thinking about how to draft this boundary line adjustment. And I was going to do two plats, do this as a separate plat, doing the boundary line adjustment, and then show it as residue. But then I got to thinking, well, maybe you can do it all on one plat. If I did this as an inset, like in the middle here somewhere. Now I'm open to suggestions. If you think that's a bad idea, that I should just go ahead and put it on an 8.5 by 11 plat or something, I can do that.
That's entirely up to you and whether the agency or the county or wherever makes the approvals on that, if they'll accept that, that may be fine, because there's some benefit in having it all there together. When you see basically you see the provenance of how that came about. So
last night while I was working on this, I also discovered this problem. Let me show you real quick here. This will look real familiar to you. And then I hit save, and it's gone.
Probably because run that command again. Just start the command. We're not going to finish it. And right now it says use, never mind, it says use current drawing properties. So I was thinking maybe it was going on a layer that might have been frozen, but that's not the case. Let me have control here for a minute.
Well, this might be the same thing that was wrong with the other one, is I've got points in there from another job, maybe.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll find that out. Let's see. All right, so if that is our case, I have to go ahead and escape that. Now that came back.
No, it didn't come back. I did it again.
Oh, okay. So there it is. But if you go to save, boom, gone. And nothing there. Okay. So that's looking like that's what's going on. In fact, if we do a zoom extents, yeah, that's what I was thinking. We've got something up here, which looks like that.
Okay, we can delete all that stuff. I don't need it.
Yeah. We got 217 down here. So if we, first of all, let's go to our layers. And you've got certain ones. You got these 5 frozen. So we're going to go to layer states. and we're gonna just make a new one. And we'll just call it working. And we'll close off of this. We're gonna turn all on, and there's some more up in there. So the only thing we need are those two things right there, correct?
Yeah,
All right, so then go to your edit menu and choose erase outside. And when it prompts you for corners, just give it a lower left, upper right corner that includes your stuff. There you go. All right, and now we do a zoom extents. All right, so it looks like we successfully got rid of that. And then let's take a look at,
okay, I need to freeze some layers here.
no, wait. Instead of going back to try to pick them, I'm sorry, I forgot to do that. Go back to your layers button there. And then go down one line to layer states. Oh, in the left, far left, right there where it says layer states, click that. Now double click on working. But that's what we just set. We said, take a snapshot of what we got. So it's now put back to the way it was. Now you can close that off. And there it is, just like we left it. Now, before you do your line, let's do one thing first. Let's come here and do an audit to make sure we've got any errors picked up. See, there were a few. Try it once again. All right, we're good to go there. We'll now save that. Now try your line and save. All right, so that's not fixed that. Let me try one more thing here. Maybe try this once again. All right, so we're good there. All right, so maybe if we I'm gonna try something here. Select all. And then I'm gonna shift. Select that, hit enter. Yeah, 77 things. Okay, so no, I don't want to do that. Let's see, select. That's all. Remove. Now. Oops. Now. Huh. Not removing from that. Select all. Then if I do a shift selection, that should clear that. Now if I list previous, see now these go back into that previous selection set. So I think we're good with that, let me go one more time back to this, zoom extents. Oops. Okay. Back to my layer states. All right, so now let me save this. I'm going to take a look at a setting here, survey settings. Automatic compare drawing points with coordinate file on startup. Found differences. So it's finding 2 points, one in the drawing, one in the coordinate file. And those two are close. These two are close. Like less than 3 feet, just over 2 feet. There's your delta. 0.200. So if we go to our drawing, or sorry, inquiry, there's points by number 200. All right, so right in there, you've got a 0.200 that's in the drawing. So if I thaw everything, there's your 0.200 right there.
Okay, well, I don't need that anymore. I can just delete it.
Okay, so if we get rid of that one. You still have it in a coordinate file, so you want to keep it there, and it was in a slightly different place. Let's see. If I draw locate. Here we go, 200. So this one is now right. The 200 you have in the coordinate file is right on the corner here. So do you want to keep that one in the coordinate file?
Yes.
Or do you need to even erase it out of the coordinate?
Well, I don't really need it anymore.
Okay. Well, then if we don't need it, we'll just erase it by number 200. Yep, and yep, and yes. And now we had the other,
Which was 201, I think.
that was 201. Number 201.
Yeah,
So
I don't need it anymore either. It can be deleted.
right, so we go to points, erase points by number 201. Yes, yes, and yes. Okay. And now we'll go back to our working layer state, rather, sorry. Zoom extends. Come on. All right, I'm going to save that, and just for yucks, I'm going to go all the way out of Carlson and come back in. As I think that may be something going on with that too. All right, so now try your line again and save.
Damn.
Huh. All right, so what if we did this? Let's go from 31 to 211. Oops. If we save that. Well, that was interesting, huh? So that went from 211 to 212. So I'm wondering if those lines that you drew 35 to 33 might have they'll have 211 snap back over to 212. I wonder if 33 might have snapped up to 35, so you've got a zero length line there. In fact, I'm going to check for that. If I get rid of these clears, I'm going to scan this drawing first. Everything looks good elevation wise. And the zero length and fragment line work. Let's see if that comes up with anything. Nope, zero, so it's not that. Curiouser and curiouser. So what about if I do from, what is it, 30 to 33? Save that. So that one works. If I move this to 35. If I now save that. All right, so that's managed to get that one to stay. Is if 35 is the point that's incorrect, perhaps. Let me try another test here. If I draw from 35 to this corner here, if I were to save that, see, 35 thinks it's also down here. So you wound up putting all of these lines from 35 to 33. They didn't disappear. They just hauled up over here. You see, there's 7 lines in there right now.
Oh, wow.
So if we erase, and I'm going to close, I'm going to select by crossing there. And that was 33 to 62. All right, so we'll put that one back in a minute. So if I go from 35 to 62. Oh, sorry. 35 to 33. Now, when I hit save, you'll see it go from here down to here. Yeah, so 0.35. Let's go to points. OTs. Pair points. Drawing. Okay. So we got here, no difference is greater than the tolerance found. Or let's see, repeating. All right. We got 35, 1 and 2. Those, okay. It's okay that they're not in the drawing. In fact, all this report is saying is that those points out of this list are not in the drawing. That's fine and dandy. If we list their points, all points, there's something goofy with this. $35, 1 and 2s and IPFs. 200 series. All right, so nothing looks amiss with this necessarily. Your 200 series and your satellite dish have 0 elevations, but that's perfectly fine. All right. Exit that. Y is 35. Incorrect. Well, right now 35 is in the drawing, but it's not in the coordinate file. Is that right?
What was in the list when you just listed the points?
I saw the 35, 1 and 2, but was 35 itself. Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. 35 is your cluster average. All right. So 35 is there. Since that's the point that's having the problem, so double click it, it shows up. It didn't complain about being a different spot. If I just erase that, now that's on boundary, okay. If I draw it again, now draw locate on boundary, SPT 4. You want that with the wipeout?
Yeah.
All right, so SPT 4W. Let's draw 35. All right. And of course, we can take that. Excuse me. We can take the description in the drawing out if we wanted to for cleanup's sake. And now, if we draw our line, 35 to 33, And we save that and see what happens. All right, that stores okay now. And we do it again, 33 to 62. All right, let's save that. All right, so those are now, these are two. If you want them to be one line, of course, just do a join nearest.
Yeah,
I'll select them right now and put them in the back, the same as putting the points in the front. Looks like these two have a they don't have the one with the wipeout. Anyway, you can fix all those, and we won't go through all that mess. So now, all right, so we got that resolved. Caused by 0.35 having a bad history, I guess, thinking it was down here at one point for whatever reason. Now we still got this potentially. Let me see if that cleared that up. Remember with 211 and 212. So if I go from 35 to 211, and then when I did a save, 211 jumped down to 212 like that.
yeah,
That's wrong. 211 thinks it's 212. 212 thinks 211 thinks it is where 212 is now. Man, I don't understand why that's happening. I think what we may have to do is redraw all of them. So if I do this line from say 30, let me go over to here. And let's say 2. And then if I save that, that one didn't move, so that one will be all right. So to keep all of that now, all right, you see the size of these points here, the
yeah,
circles,
yeah,
and the size of these up here. So they were done at 2 different times when you had 2 different scales set. Looks like maybe one was set when it was 100, one's been set when it's 200. What is their drawing set up now is set to 200. So at 200, that would be that size there on the ground. I'm not sure what this one. It's almost if I were at a 400 scale or a 300. Did we have a different scale at some point?
maybe.
All right, it looks like these are the right size that we want. All right, so what I'm getting at is let's erase all the points and redraw them, or are they all on the layer boundary? No. Right, that's a layer boundary. If I select all similar items, they're all on layer boundary. So it looks like all of your points that you're going to keep here are all on boundary. And then you have these 32s, 31,
Oh,
32.
they're gonna become the boundary, so they can be, their layer can be changed to boundary.
All right, so we need though a different symbol for those. T7W. All right, so that's 31 and 32. I thought there were a couple of other points in there also. Is it just those two?
Yeah,
Okay. So 31, 32. So if we erase points. Don't matter which. Will I number this time? All enter. No, and yes. And draw okay, you say they can go on the same, those two can now be on that same layer. So let's draw locate the points now with their SPT4W. That's correct. Everything's good to go there. And oh shoot, I didn't get the point numbers that we had. Here's how I'm going to find those. Let me go to my coordinate file utilities. I'm going to look at my point history, and I'm going to see these delete points. Here's May 11th. Deleted 202.01, but now where's the ones I just did? That's odd. That should have. Show me those. Let me undo till we get our points back. Let me see which points. All right, so these are the points that I want to draw. So real quickly, what I should have done first and didn't. I'm going to go to points and point group manager. I'm going to make a group. Just call it on screen. Except I'm gonna take that weird thing off of there. And on screen, I will make a point list of selecting from the drawing. The drawing select, and I'm going to say all. So I found 70 points. Those are the points. I'll save that. And okay. Now I'm going to erase the points. My number, all. From the coordinate file, no. From the symbols, yes. And now when we draw locate, we will, that's good, that's good. Now I'm going to draw a group. And I'm going to draw these on screen groups. So they're now back. You've got a couple of these that you're going to want to change the description. And I would change the description. You know, if cluster average is a good working description for you in your coordinate file, I'd leave that alone. And then I would put whatever you want in the drawing to go there. Or even if you just want nothing, you can do it like that. Same thing down here.
Oh, the line disappeared again.
Well, I may have taken, when I wanted to undo, I think I took it out, at that point. Let me, no, maybe not.
And look at the line on the bottom.
And this one now is gone. So it's almost like all these points that say cluster average are the ones that are a cluster snafu. Let's see now. What about, yeah, see 211 and 212 were and those were two that had a problem. 211. See, all of those are, that whole line is all messed up. Look at that. It goes, it has a point here. Oh, wait, no, that might just be the midpoint. And that's a line instead of a polyline. Not that that really is a problem, but it should be a polyline. All right. We also now have this polyline. And that's still where it's supposed to be. So if I put this. Right to the back, so this line that goes from 63 to 112 or whatever that one is. Do you need that for any
That's
particular
1.1
reason?
and 1.2. It should be, but there's a one there too that should be a cluster average.
Okay. But that line between those, is that one that you need to keep?
No,
All
I
right.
don't know where that came from.
Well, it could be just because it's for whatever reason. These ones that said cluster average seemed to be well, I'm not gonna make such a blanket statement. I was gonna say they seem to be the points that were having problems. But I don't know that that's necessarily the case. It might have just simply been. Coincidental.
And those symbols changed too. I had changed those to be square like concrete monuments. And they've gone back to circles.
Yeah, when I did a draw locate,
Oh yeah, that's right.
I redrew them all.
Yeah.
So which ones are the square ones, or you know which ones you want as square, you can change those back.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have any effect.
Okay.
All right. Now, if I save that. Now, if you draw 35 to 33 to whatever this point is into 63 as a single line.
Okay, let me get rid of some of these points though. This is
Okay.
Okay. Okay, now ready for me to draw that line?
Yeah,
And try to save.
yep. All right, so that looks okay. Yeah, I think we're
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
Let me check something here too, Mike, over just since. Remember how these straight points were having sort of a split personality issue, and we had some out here. So if, I mean, in model space, I
Yeah.
wonder if there are any points that are put in over here in paper space, or maybe you got in model space and we did a change space and maybe did something like, selection, and we picked up a point and it also got pulled into paper space. So if I do that, let me see if I can figure out how to find it. So there's the extents. Those are just polylines. Would be the benefit for me. All right, so now if I'm here, let's look for points. I look for a I'll take coordinates off from drawing for a minute. Let's do that. Let's type all. So it finds the points. I don't want to do that quite yet. I want to set a new coordinate file. And now you're in this PUTS directory. That's correct?
That's not where I'm supposed to be. That's part of the problem. That's why I wanted to have a template to work from.
Okay. So that was right now it's the Shockley directory.
Yeah, that's where it should be.
And that should be in here. All right, I'm going to call this one junk for now. And just see what we've got. If I do a coordinate file utilities, update coordinate file from drawing, I'm just going to go into junk. I'm going to type all. Found 32 points, 128 things that tested 32 points. I'll list those points. And one, and then the twos, and then the 23s, the 29s, the 30s. Does that look familiar and correct with the ones that are in the drawing?
Yeah.
Just by, okay. So that part's okay. If we go back to. Let's take a look. At this at 23 or 22.
What, the job we're in, it's 23.
Well, and the PUTS directory too.
No, that would be a 22 job.
Okay, so 22. PUTS is here. And Carlson. And it's the Shockley directory. Let's see if I'm. Well, I just lost control.
Okay.
You click on that Carlson folder.
There.
Right down below PUTS. Yeah, click on that. Now we're looking for the Shockley CRD. And you see all three, there's the Shockley, get all three of those files, CRD, group, and history. Just click on the top one, then shift click on the third one. Now right click and choose cut. Okay, now let's go to the 2023 jobs into.
You know, that I just noticed that herps, and I mean, there are so many different things in there that shouldn't be. Crazy.
That's correct. That's correct. I would take those and move them into their proper folders. And then when you open those drawings, make sure you repoint it. Excuse me, you reset the set coordinate file, and you, even though it may be there correctly, I would reset every one of them. So now in here, you're just going to right click, paste. All right, there they are. You can close that.
Good morning.
You talking to me?
No, the lady who does our cleaning just showed up.
Gotcha. All right, so now let's go back, and you can go back to model space or wherever we want to be. And and you can now, up at the top, you see it says coordinate file is still pointed to junk. Let's pull down the points menu and set coordinate file and point it back to our new location for the Shockley. So right there, and we just look at the folder up at the top. We are in the Shockley folder. There it is. Point it to the 23008. That's the one we just right click pasted. So you see right there, right? No, right. It's sitting right there in front of you. Well, you can do it that way if you want.
This one.
Yeah. All right, and say open. And now do a save. See if that bottom line goes away. I don't think it should. Okay. I just wondered, because we moved the point that was drawn from. I didn't know if the line retained its allegiance to trying to find the file in the old location or not. That's why I wanted to cut it out of there instead of just copy and paste. I wanted to cut it out of the old location. So it looks okay for that. Okay. Now also, excuse me, whatever manipulation you do down here in the bottom, I don't know why, when when we were looking at that file explorer, the screen flickered and then I lost the ability to control the screen. Now, I've said, stop sharing. I'm going to request remote control again. And I bet it won't let me in until we were to go out and come back into the session, but we'll see. So you accept it. I saw you move your mouse. And if I do, see, I still have no control over that.
Yeah, it's not coming up to let me,
oh, I saw you move your cursor off screen. So maybe you say it never saw it, right? All
no,
right,
it's
so
not, let me minimize my email.
Okay,
No, it's just the Zoom meeting.
all right, so now if keep it minimized, now I'm requesting.
Yeah, the request isn't coming up. Wait a minute, there it is. Yeah, let me get my
Okay.
mouse over there so I can approve it. Okay,
Okay,
there, it's approved.
there it is. Now it tells me to, yeah, there, I got it back. All right. So now, whatever you wind up remanipulating down here, if you need to remanipulate this
Yeah,
floodplain, you can treat that like a polyline. So like if these corners need to go, let me put my point object snap on. If for instance, if you need to move that to where 31 is, you could go to do something like this, and this goes up to 32.
well, that whole property is in the floodplain, so I'm gonna need to move it the other way.
Does it just need to come out to this whole line?
Yeah,
Then what I would do is just simply remove that vertex. And is 35 going to stay a property corner?
well, it's gonna be in the plat show as a previous property corner.
Well, then just I'm gonna add a vertex. I'm gonna put that on that point as well. And then I'll take this vertex to 33. And the 63 is there. I'm gonna right click here and say add a vertex and put it on 62. All right, so now that goes all the way through like that. Okay.
Yeah,
And it goes through the little, it goes through these. If those particular points on it, if they're all online, then it won't make a difference. But if there's a little bit of a kink in it, then it'll pick that up. So I'm going to now grab all of these and all right. So I was just, that might be easier if you just realize when you do those hatches that, they're going to show up like polylines, and you can
right,
do them. You can move those points, you can erase vertices, you can change the segments into arcs, all of that kind of stuff.
right.
So, and that might be an easier fix in certain areas than throwing it away and having to isolate those areas and redraw it. But either way, sometimes that is the easiest to do. And there's nothing wrong with it. It just creates a new one, but this way you won't have to putz around with that kind of stuff. All right. So now you've got that new part shown. And there's a little something going on here. There's multiple line works going on here. If I choose that, that's that overall original. If I choose that, that's just this one edge coming down here. You see that line right there?
Yeah,
That's a line by itself, and it lays over top of this other line. If I select this one, You see, that was the original, went all the way around like this and back
Yeah.
down and out that, okay? Now, if that needs to stay like that, that's fine too, but you just realize you got a doubled up situation. And I can tell that visually that that's probably the case because you see how that line looks solid.
Yeah,
So it's really, if I were to select this line and if that were to go away, did I get it to, I didn't, yes, I did. Line type generation. Yes, yeah, see there. There now the symbology came back to that one, but
right.
I'm gonna put back the way we had it, make sure there's still two lines there. Okay, so just remember that you've got that, and if you need to fix that, then you can either break the little instep out of the overall total line, or
I just
erase.
delete that segment.
Yeah, you can. Does it no longer need to go in and back down? It's just going to come down here, or
No, there's gonna be a sliver from here to there and down to here somewhere. I haven't figured that out yet. It's gonna be merged into there.
okay. All right. So this, but these bottom two might go away or something, depends on how you do that. So you could select this, for instance, and there's a couple of ways of doing this. You can see if 35 needs to, if 33 also needs to be incorporated there, you can, pick this up and put this up here, say with where 31 goes. And then bring this guy down to wherever what 35 is. And then we need to insert or add a vertex to 33 and also to 62. All right, so that now took care of that overall that came all the way down like this. Now we still have, I think there's, yeah, see there's two there. There's one that looks like the overall boundary. There's this other one that we just drew in a minute ago, 35 to 33 to 62 to 63.
Yeah,
Do you need that? We don't. All right, so that goes away, and now you've got this as a single line. This is a single line. And just for now, I'm going to
well, that's in the wrong place. It doesn't go to 32.
okay, so just go to you go to this one here.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it doesn't go from 31 over there. It goes from 35 over there.
Oh, okay. All right, and then there is this little segment there by itself. And I'll get rid of that one. So now you've got one red line there. Should be one red line there. Should be one red line there. Okay. So that's in good shape. Now look down here and you see there's maybe multiples in there. I don't know, there's two hatches. You got one for the easement, one for the floodplain. So if you need, for instance, this highway easement hatch to be on there again.
Yeah,
Here's what I would do with that. I'm gonna isolate that object just to make it easier. I'm gonna find where I isolate that object. Let me get over here where it's gonna pick them both up. Why is it missing that? Let's try this again. If I, where did I? Somewhere I picked. All right, let's try it the opposite way. I'm gonna hide this object. Now, I no longer see that highway easement hatch. Where did it go? Well, you saw it there.
yeah.
There. So if I do that, and now if I pick that's very curious.
Can you have a hatch within a hatch?
Yeah, that could be what's going on. Let's see that. If I copy that over here. It's still just getting that. And yet if I do this, it's right there, that plane AE, highway center line.
Because the center line actually need to freeze. I just need the two limits shown.
Oh, you know what? It may not have been. No, it did say easement. All right, so so that polyline will freeze. But somewhere there was a hatch. Other than just floodplain. All right, let me tell you what we'll do. I'm gonna take this guy back away. And let's select from the whole drawing every hatch. Select them all and see what we got. We have one. Well, did it erase
Well,
it?
I guess maybe I never hatched the highway easement. Can we isolate it and see what it looks like?
Yeah, where is that? Ah, that's what I saw. Highway easement. That's the layer name and it's a polyline, not a hatch. It's because it was the same color. I just assumed they were both hatches. So that is simply a polyline. Okay. Whew. Starting to really be afraid. I was losing my mind. So now if we want I'm just gonna hide this object for a minute. So if you need this stuff,
Okay, I don't need the center line. I can just freeze it.
this one here, oops. And that's on highway center line, and this is your
Easement.
easements. You need your easement lines, but this other you don't. So if we freeze that center line, okay, now that easement, those easement edges are not showing up because they're the same color as the other, as the hatch.
Yeah,
Okay. So if I turn this back on, for instance, you see they don't show up at all.
yeah.
So how to fix that, of course, would be to either, change the color of one or the other. And I would simply go to that, which was that highway easement. If I come up here and see that's ESM. EAS.
Highway. It's
One sec.
Oh, shut up, Siri.
yeah, there it is.
Yeah, highway center line, highway easement, ESMT. That's what I was trying to find. So now that's 253, same color as the hatch. You could make it like such. It's also a continuous line. You might want to let's go back to that. ESMT asterisk. You might, want to make that as one of your dash lines. Or even, let's see what our line type scale is. Set this on. SLT scale, if we made it. Let's set that back to. And let's see, let's make that dash a little tighter. And of course you would extend that if it does in fact extend. Yeah, so that's now. All right, so, and then you could even, do like a crosshatch instead of a solid hatch. You could put like those diagonal lines in there if you wanted and set the scale accordingly, or you could just leave it as that dash so that when it shows up, then when you do your plat, it would look like that.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, so you leave that. Let's save a bit of progress. Now back onto, I don't want to hold you up. It's getting to be 11:15. So, but back onto this as an inset.
Yeah,
Is that, like, if you wonder how that is supposed to be or how you would do that, you're going to make another viewport. Okay. And it can be, the problem is going to get into that we're going to have a little bit of we're going to be inside the other viewport, but
right.
but that's okay, as long as, make sure you're in paper space when you make this viewport. You don't want to be in here when you do it. So if we stay out here, and now we're going to go to the view menu. I'm sorry, I'll let you, yeah, go to the view menu and choose viewports and just say create model view. And just in that empty space in the middle there, wherever you want that to show up, just click a lower left and an upper right. However big you think you need to make it. Now that wasn't as, you know, that's not going to be any bigger than the scale it's sitting at already. If you see right in here, see this, if you're trying to make this a blow up,
Right.
you want your viewport to be, you know, at least twice that size. And this is looking just visually like it needs to be a little bigger. So if I put this, say like this, we'll adjust this. Now, that's a viewport. It happened to be placed on this layer boundary. I'm gonna change this to my viewports layer so that it shows up red and it's not going to plot. Now, within that, see, if I double click inside, even if I'm trying to double click inside of it, see what it does? It puts me in here instead of inside of that one.
Right.
So what do I do if I select this and then switch? It's still doing that. Okay, let's see what we can do. If we hide, one or two viewports there. Oh, it's a polyline. If I hide that viewport, oh, I did that. Hide.
Well,
Select that viewport. It's still not. Let me think about this a second, Mike. But if I isolate this, and now, very interesting indeed. I also see we've got this up here. And that little piece of that line that you're seeing there, that is this line. And are we using that for anything? Oh, that's the clip of our image.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
guess
that is,
I guess we could freeze it.
yeah, we could do that for now. Or we could just, and then we've also got the, is this the image frame itself? That is an image. Okay. So that was an image that we had clipped. It's not showing up even when we thaw everything, so it makes me think it's no longer referenced. No, it's all loaded. Mr. Sid. Image manager.
What's your schedule this afternoon look like?
Should be okay till about 6.
Maybe we could continue after I get back from my doctor's appointment.
Okay, we can do that. Yeah, because I don't see this image showing up. If I take,
Oh, you have to click, you have to turn it on. You have to, if you,
oh, I see. All right, so let me see if let me undo what I just did there now. So if you select the actual
raster
image,
image, and then you go down and you turn show.
I see. Okay. All right, so we could take that polyline. So that image clip, if we freeze image clip. Excuse
Bless you.
me. Excuse me again. All right, so that is the actual clipping polyline is now frozen. Now, does that keep it from, it's still showing over here, but
Well,
if
there's
we,
another line there too, I
yeah,
think.
well, that's the frame. That's the image frame.
Right.
It's set to display, and I think it can display and not plot. I think that would be a 2. So now we,
Hey, Ken, I'm gonna have to rush here. I
Yep.
can't miss this doctor's appointment. It's taken me months to get it.
yes, absolutely. So I just saved your drawing. I'm going to pause there. Okey-doke.
Again,
Do that.
before we start that back there, can I ask you a question about, this is a title block that I copied from another plat and changed the information around, but I did I edited it to make it multi-line, multi-text, whatever you call it. How do
Yeah,
you,
a multi-line text.
the spacing in it?
Oh, okay. I'll show you that. Let me do my remote control bit. Okay, so what you do to set the spacing for that is, this is much like a word processor. So if you double click it, it's gonna show up in here, and then you would select all the text. Now, notice, see how it got all tight in the
Yes,
edit. But then if you were to click out of it, it pops back the way it was.
right.
So what you do is you get it, you highlight all of the text, and then you right click and you choose this paragraph.
Yeah,
We're going to set that, or you could clear the formatting and reset it. But let's look and see what the paragraph setting shows us. That's where you can set tab stops, indents, and right now it's got a center alignment. That's good. And then you would set the paragraph line spacing either exactly, at least, or multiples. And it's hard to figure out what that needs to be, but if we did, let's just try it and see what gives us a good result. So if I say exactly at 1 and click off, and let's maybe change that to let's try at least one and see what that does for us. And now that puts it like that. There we go.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, and so, and you can, well, you would want to center that and get it where you like it. Make sure you're not running too far into this bit over here. You might want to slide this part over. Yeah.
Yeah, I copied that from the other plat too. I just put it there temporarily.
Yeah, that's fine. I would just, and that could, you could even move that all the way over this entire block here too, but I'll leave that to you to rearrange. But anyway, that looks like that has gotten it okay. Now I do notice something here. You see that by merger from is wider than it is tall. See how it looks, this line right here looks stretched.
Yeah,
So that's also a something that's going on here is you've got this individual text. And if you look up here now in this little bar that floats over the top,
yeah.
you see there's a this field right here is tracking. That's the space between letters. And this is the width factor. So it's 1.5 times the text height. So if we change that from 1.5, we just make it 1. It puts it down so it's now the same width, same height. And it doesn't look so stretched out. And then of course you would want to maybe change that height, which is right here. Let's change, let's match that size to this size up here, which was 0.1. This one is 0.15. So let's make that 0.1. Oh, not 0.5, 0.1. So now that by merger from and to are the same size, they're a little bit smaller than the rest of the text. And so that's basically how you do that. It's treated just like a word processor.
Okay,
And then
very
you
good.
click off of it, then it'll save it. Or the other thing you could do is let's say you're doing something and you make a bunch of edits and you just say, well, I don't really want to do that. Well, if you press escape, it'll prompt you. Do you want to save it? At that point, you would say no.
Okay,
All right.
okay, very good.
All righty. So now we were over here on this. Now, this bit, let's see if I just try to go M space, and because this is on the inside of this, I can't, like if I double click in here, it still puts me inside this viewport.
Yeah,
So we need a way to get into that separately. And I think what we're going to do there is I think if we type M view, it then, no, that lets us create a viewport. All right, if we type M space, oh, crud, let me see.
well, we can put that inset over here if you think there's enough room. Over
Well,
outside of the
let me see if I do it there to where it's on the outside.
yeah,
It puts me in there. Now, why is it? Why it shows up as black instead of red?
it looks dark, it looks blood red to me. It doesn't look
That looks the same as this does.
no. That's it's a much darker red.
Yeah, see, that's viewports. And that's also viewports. That's the polyline that made the viewport, and then that's a viewport. Well, I don't think that part would matter. So if we did this, I think what we can do is clip it, as long as we leave a corner of it outside so we can get into it. And then we could set this up. I'm gonna also do this. I'm gonna rotate that. Sort of match that. Let me see. This one is see if it's got a rotation value. It does not. Yeah, what happened here? Why is that? I guess the line types are showing up. Okay, now this, however, that's why it was showing up as black, because when it created the viewport, it also created a polyline, and that polyline is on this boundary layer. So if I make that layer viewports now, if I double click inside of that, and it still shows it black. Let's see if I make that. Yeah. I don't know why it's that way. If I go here, and I'm gonna just draw a temporary line here for a second. I realize, you know, all of this stuff is a little bit oops. So I'm gonna go from there. Shoot, let me get into this one. There we go. Now if I draw a 2D polyline from here, distance will be from here to here. And it's gonna go, let's say 100 at an angle, and the north east 90, so due east. So now I've got a line that's drawn inside my viewport. And so now when I'm in the viewport, because I rotated my viewport, it rotated the whole model looking like this. You know what? This is getting too complex. Escape that. I don't want you to have to go through all that mess. So let's try a different approach here. Let's get rid of that. And I'm going to get rid of this. Now let's try a different approach on this. If I do that, if I do a viewport, and I say polygonal, and I'm going to come from here
on the boundary layer.
Let me change this down to viewports. Now let's try that again. I say polygonal, and I go from here. Just want to sort of be like the same as that, the same orientation. And then if I bring this up so that it's going to be, now, do you want to show all the way up to this corner, or do you need to?
Not really, just they can look down at the plat and see that. I just need to show that so I can dimension it.
Okay, so if I have that, and let me pull this down a little bit more here. I'll take this. All right, so that lets us go in and out of the viewport. And now the problem is that anything that we draw inside of here, if we're in the viewport, it's going to also draw it out here. So we want to make sure that everything that we draw text-wise or whatever in relation to all of this that we draw in paper space. But I also want to clip that viewport, and I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to select it. Select the polyline, and then when we're ready to plot, we're going to pull this inside. Let me turn that. So we do like that. So now if we move, we can reposition that wherever we need it. All right, so for right now, let's put it like this. Oh, okay. No, I've got a different approach to the annotation part. So now to be able to switch in and out of it, if I select it, and then if I type space, or not P space, but let me select that again. If I select on it and get all of it, and then if I type M space, let me be, and it M space. There we go. Perfect. All right. So if I happen to just double click inside it, it puts me in here, double click out. But if I, let's see, if I sit inside it, it still does it. So I have to have it selected. And if I select it, let's try this. If I select the viewport and then type MS, still. So if I select all and then type MS, right, it still didn't do it. If I select all and my cursor is pointed to the inside and type MS. Wow, it did it just a minute ago. Come on, man. Oh. Well, it was a fluke. I thought that was gonna be our way to do it. So what did we do? Let's try. Still. All right, so if we hide that viewport in that polyline. Now we select all, we sit in it and type still.
Looking like it would be easier just to draw it as a separate plat.
Yeah, it's, let me see, there was one, Yeah.
How would I do that? Just save it as a different DWG in the file?
yeah, and then you could work on that part separately at just a different, you just blow that scale up. Well, let's see. As long as I did it like that. Now I could come here and I could put my annotation on. I would put this at whatever scale I needed.
No, it just doesn't look like it's gonna be big enough. does it?
Yeah, I think that's going to be our best bet. So let's just take it all. We'll get rid of that. Yeah, why don't let's plan on that. I was going to say we could selectively freeze on and off different layers to
Yeah, but that sounds pretty complicated.
yeah, I think that's going on. You've got 2 points in there. Looks like that one. You've got 2 points showing in here. If I move
Okay, that
that,
one can be just turned off.
yeah, so you had 2 points in there showing. So if I take this one and just delete it, now you're down to just a 1. And you can rearrange these as however you need them. Inside, outside, wherever you want it, wherever you need that to go, you know.
Okay.
Let me double check these others to see if you've got multiples. Looks like that one's okay. That may have been the only duplicated one. Just check this one here. Yeah, there's multiples there too. Let me see what we had under our point defaults for a second. It was okay, and then if we did a draw locate, it looked like it allowed it. No, it said erase and redraw, so should have been. So we take this first one. Bless you.
Thank you.
Three nine eight one one oh. We can look at the second one.
Is it easier to do that in the model space?
Yeah, maybe. 396,115. So there's actually very slightly different positions for those. Let's go over here and look at it in model space.
Yeah, there's more.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're slightly different coordinate values. If I look at 220 or 1 or 2.1,
Yeah, it should be just it should be just 0.2, which is the average. So if we delete 2.1 and 2.2, 2 should be
Gotcha.
left.
all right, so that one off, and then that one off. And then did we want that to say IPF?
Number 5, CRF.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was a description, not the point number. So number 5. What was it?
CRF.
PRF. Oops.
C is in capped.
Cap rebar found. There we go. The 5/8 rebar. There we go. All right, so don't forget to do that for all of these because
Right.
you've got the same thing going on here. Any
Yeah.
of those IPFs are going to be the clusters, and the average is the one that you want left with.
Right.
And so that would be that one, and that would also be that number 5, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
All right, so then that would be that, and then you would just delete, and there's one more here, the 1 point. Which
I
one
think you
it is.
deleted 1 actually. No, you didn't. That's
it's 1.1, so that's, let's select that again and delete. Then 1.2,
delete.
that's not the one we want point number 1.
Yeah. So delete 1.2.
Oh, I see what we did. All right, so we're going to delete that one, and we're going to delete that one. There we go. And then of course you can move those as you need. All right, so I'll leave those to you. Just make sure you double check them.
Right. So
Because
show me how to do the save as to create a separate plat for the merger.
Okay, so first we'll go out, first we're going to save this one just so we get those last little changes in it.
Right.
And now, and I'll let you do it. You just go to a file, save as. Make sure you're in your right folder. Looks like you are, and just give it a new name. Okay, so we save that. And when you do a save as, it puts you in that drawing. It's not
Right.
like you put it out and you have to go and open it. So now you're in that drawing. So now you would go there.
So now I need to change the scale in the model space. Right.
Yeah, or I would even just delete it. Just do a cross. Choose the word all there when you go to pick it, or there you go. Now you've got them all, and just delete that whole thing.
Well,
Now I would make a new one, which remember was, and you've got that Shenandoah River down there. You probably don't need that anymore either.
I'll need it somewhere because that
Oh,
is on the
all right.
Shenandoah too.
All right, so then now just go up to your view menu and we're gonna make a new viewport. And we are already on layer viewport, so we're good to go. Yep. And now those are your choices down below, so you can just show it a window and then resize it and all that. I would just click yourself a square and then make it about, you know, the size that you think it's gonna take up. Now remember, once that's done, go ahead and click that. And now if you select that while you're there in paper space, see that middle dot, you can grab that dot and just
Move it
slide it
around.
around wherever you need to. Yeah, so you could, yeah, exactly like that, and move it up or wherever you want it to be. And you can also resize the edges by grabbing a corner, and it keeps it square because you made it as that square. So, but so
Yeah.
that's fine. You know, you just resize that as you need it. Now, once you have it there, if you double click inside it, now you see where that stuff is. You can do a zoom extents and sort of scroll it around and get it to a working size that you want to see it as. And now you can you take your mouse and yeah, and zoom into it, just sort of get it eyeball close to the way you want to see it. Okay. All right, and now once you've got that sort of position, now double click outside of it. So you're back in paper space. Now select it. And let's read over on the properties what's that scale is. It says it's a custom scale of 0.021446. So if you change that to 0.02, for instance, as a common scale, that would be, you know, whatever that is. So
Type.
0.02 and hit enter, and you'll see it shift just a little bit in size. See how it shrunk down a little bit. So now that's at that, which is a standard scale of 1 to 50. Now change your annotation scale also to be 1 to 50, or 1 inch equals 50 feet, same thing. Oh, and there you got all those. Yeah, go ahead and choose that. And now you see the line types went to the right sizes. Now the points, you might want to rescale the points. Now, one thing I noticed, you got all of those 11-inch equals.
Yeah.
As when you saw that annotation scaling, see all those 11-inch equals by XREF, etc. That was from back when we had this setting incorrect. We had this down here. We had at one point we had a 1 in there, and that, so that's why they put 1, and then it put 1 inch equals again as a prefix to that. So any new ones you add, you won't see that, but those old ones are still there because they're coming from some kind of see what these differences are. Oh, okay, so that's just telling you there are points that aren't in the drawing. That's fine. That should only happen for you when you first open the file and work with it. You'll get that. All right, so from there, so 1 to 50 is going to be our working scale. So I would go back to your model space here. And if you go up to the settings, let's reset your drawing scale to 1 to 50 so everything matches. So drawing setup, there you go. Make that, instead of 200, make that 50. And then over in the LT scale box, you don't have to change those at all. Those change with it. But over in there, the LT scale box to the right, change that to 1.
Should that always be 1?
Yeah, it should be the way that's a holdover from the way the software used to have to work with line types, but now it should be in good shape. So we say okay for that. And now if you go back to your survey plat, well, actually now you're going to need to resize your points. And so if you go to the points menu and say resize point attributes, which is in that yeah, right, one more right there. There you go. And you want to do it by scale. And so if you type scale, go from a 200 to a 50, that was a 4-time reduction. So that would be a 0.25. We hit enter. Escape that for just a minute. Let me see if we can do this easier with absolute. Keep escaping. Escape. Keep going until you're clear. Now try that again. Try the command again. Resize your point attributes, and this time instead of scale, type absolute, and I wonder if it will point and symbol size. Point attribute and symbol size. Nope. Not for a not 0.25. Right now, that's suggesting 5 feet on the ground, which would be a 1/10. If we want them to be 0.8, it would be 4. Okay, and hit enter. And then scale symbols only, point labels only, or both. We want to do both if we want them both to be 800ths. And select the point, say S for screen or N for number, either one. We're just going to type all. Now we type all and hit enter. And hit enter one more time. B for both. I don't know. Oh, yeah, type B for both. I don't know if we're repeating the command or not, but type B again. All right, so now go back to your paper space. And you see how, and zoom into it, and you see how they're now the size you want them for this plat.
Right.
Okay. And one last thing, I'm going to take a look at these. I'm going to go back here to model space. I just want to make sure these boundary lines, if I get one of those boundary lines and select similar, make sure it's their line type scale is 1. So that's fine. I didn't know if they were too big. So I've got like 2 patterns on this line, 1 pattern in here with another pattern up here, and that should match what we see over here. Yeah, there's the 2, there's the 1. Okay.
Okay, I think I'm good to go.
All right, sir. Now, you see that OH line, that overhead? You
Yes.
see how close together the symbols are? You could make that a bigger a bigger line type scale. But here's the problem with that one in that approach. If I wanted to spread that out, let's say we're just going to take it from 1 to 2. So if I make that individual line, that it's going to, you'll see the symbols spread out, but they also get twice as tall, right?
Yeah.
So what I would recommend in that case, when you need to make something like that, in fact, let's go over here where we can see it all. See that's sort of close together.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, and also if that goes on off your property, you might want to extend it a little, however you need to show that. But
right.
But where that is, and also if you need to put power poles at the bends, you take care of all that. But what you can do with that is if you go to your, I'm gonna go back to your survey module now from GIS, and I'm gonna look at the annotate menu. And I'm gonna come down here to this line types. And I'm going to change the polyline line type. And when that comes up, it's going to let us choose this. Now we're going to choose the same line type. And what it does is it reads these numbers down here and it creates a new line type for you on the fly. So the spacing scalar. Now, when you see that word scalar, think plotted inches. So this is the spacing between the symbols.
Yeah,
So instead of that 0.02, I'm going to make that, let's make it just every 1.25 inches. And the symbol size, we can keep that 1/10, or let's even make it 0.08 so it's not bigger than the points. And then the gap size factor we'll leave as 1. It's just going to create a gap the same height or the same as the text height, the symbol height. All right, so now we've got this point set, and you can of course add an extra dash. We're not going to do that, but this is our set here. You could even set the text style for any text in here. You can set to a different style if you needed. And now we're going to look through here and find our overhead. So I'm just going to go next until I see that OH, which is probably under the O's. Let me go back here to O. There's OH power. Let's try another one, see if we can keep going. I don't see it. Let me see. Next, there's a fence, water, wood fence. MLOHP, property line, right of way. I'm not seeing it. OHP. All right, I think I see what's possibly up. Let me cancel that for a second. Let me see what line style it's set to be on EUOH wires. So if I look for wires, it's yeah, it comes from a reference file. So that it's not technically in this. It's called overhead electric. So let me see if it shows up over here. Yeah, it's there, overhead electric. Wonder where that came from. I need to make it one that doesn't have this $0 in front of it. So if I'm in here, if I choose this and choose load, let's see if it came out of that original file here. So I'm going to click on line type name twice to sort. I'm going to look down here under the O's. I did not notice that it have LMNOP. It's not in there. So if I choose browse and I look for let's look in this file first. and see if we see it. No. In the P, nope. I'll hit browse again, and let's look in the IntelliCAD. And look for that. I'm going to guess that it's not, yeah, it's not in that one either.
Well, we could use the one that's available. What was it?
Well, it says OHP. Is it power? Or is it possibly telephone, something else? See this, it says OH electric, but the symbol is only OH.
Yeah,
And I don't know
well,
where that,
it's both electric and phone.
yeah, so we really should just say OH, or it could be, you know, we could make a we can make I don't want to get into making a line style. Let me see if I can find that. Let me, Diane's here. Oh, sorry about that. Hey, baby. So let me look at the C and G line definitions. Nothing there. So there's a number of different ones. In the support directory. Let me look back here, maybe. Probably not in here either. H invisible. No. All right, now think about that. That should. See this? Let me see if I look at that. You see, right now it's OHP, which is. Oh, I'll put that in, and if I, instead of doing that one, because it's not finding it by definition, if I, let me try this, polyline to special line. There's electric with an E. There's an other. Yeah. Well, the other. Thing, let me see here. If I could just, if we knew where that came from. Do you have any idea of the file that this line originally came out of?
No, I don't.
Okay. Because when we did, you know, that was that originating file. If I could find that, and it could have been like if you took that from one that was done from that other company, maybe. Then we could transfer it as a named line type. Let me see one more. Let's look at our line type manager. this is that. Well, it's not gonna, and it's still called overhead electric. All right, here's one thing we can do. That it probably didn't come from a file. Now I'm looking in 2022. It probably came from inside another drawing file. That's what it's looking like. I don't think there's anything in that. Well, there's that. Let me try that a minute. No. Let's go one more here to 2022. I want to get at the latest one if we can find it. That SCTMP, let's see what that gives us. That just is electric. But, and if we, let's look in 2021. There's that one again. I'll make sure there's nothing down in here. All right, so here's what's happened. You see that, and this is a fence that was done for that one, and it's called special line. It's a fence, but you see those numbers 1.08 and 1. That's those numbers, those scalings, and it built that on the fly. But it's not letting me choose one from there. Let me see if I can find it in each of these. I've looked in 2020. And that's probably, yeah, that was, he had 2 fences and one that just said E. All right, so that's not gonna work. I'm gonna repoint this back to our current location. So the next time it pops up, it'll be sitting there right. And I'll look under, let's look under ICAD ISO. I'm sure it's not there. Those are just, oh, maybe. Yeah, it goes straight to Phantom from numbers.
Well, the significance of that might not be worth the time it's spending to try to fix it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could just leave it as it is and be done. So, you know, it's gonna show that like that. That's fine. Let's just leave it for now. But normally what you need to do to rescale those, to resize the way they show up, is you go to that annotate and go to your line types and then change the polyline line type. And then that would, let me, try that one thing here. Now this special line type, I think, is going to be select the entity to insert or break. I don't think that's type the distance between inserts. Okay. So if we type text, if we draw text standard, we pick right here, we set our height, that'll be a 0.08, set our rotation, and we type OH. Now, let's make that justification. Middle center, we'll take center middle. All right, now if we just make this one continuous for the moment, and then if we say line types, special line, we select this to insert. And the distance between, if we just pick here and here, and pick or type break distance. Let's just get, and that's our gap. And we'll just put a little gap like so. Insert text or block. And then we nope, let me see. Special identity. All right, so we're going to say the line itself. Now, what this is, I'm thinking is going to do is, and we're going to show at this distance, like so. The break distance, we'll say 4. And if we insert text, we're going to type OH, center or middle text alignment middle, flip text for twist screen, sure. Text size is 4. And so now what it did was it put that in there within that line, but when I select that polyline, you see what it does is it actually breaks the line up. And I would actually, I should have put a different gap size, more than 4. I should have put like 10, so it gapped around. But what you're left with then are these individual pieces of text and individual line pieces. So that would make it look the same, but then we couldn't manipulate that line as a single entity anymore. And so I want to be able to do that. So let's just put it back and move ahead. We'll just leave it like it is. All right. It's sort of a cheap way of doing a custom line type. I mean, and we could make a custom line type, put it out in the line type file and load it and all that kind of stuff. But I think for what you're doing now, this will be okay just to leave it like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so there you go. Now you can do your manipulation, and when you do your annotation, you'll do all that stuff in model space, and that'll show up now. If we do, we might want to, let's go ahead and get back on there. Boundary layer, and is there a boundary text layer? Let me open this up a little bit here. Where's that edge? Boundary, merger, boundary, river, and that's okay. Bearing text is probably the layer it's going to go on. We look at our annotate defaults. Is our text size? I don't know that the.
Oh, that's something I'll have to change on that template, isn't it? I'll have to go through and
I,
do all.
I think once you change it here, the next time you run it, these assignments will change. They'll keep.
Yeah, but this isn't from the template, is it?
No,
The one
it,
just created
no, it's,
yesterday?
no, this is reading from the last time you ran this command. So it's going to go on a layer called NO boundary, which is probably what you want. Your distance is also set on NO boundary. So, and see, I don't know that you even have those layers in here. You probably do, because I think you've already done some of them before in that drawing, but it didn't come from the template. There is your NO boundary. So if you were to, let's see if there's anything on that layer. Here's this NO boundary, it's white, and if there's nothing on it, let me see if I can delete that layer. Yeah, so that layer no longer exists, that NO boundary. And so now, because that is still set in your defaults, and that's not something that sets in the drawing template. This is one of the Carlson settings.
Okay,
So that stays there. Now, if you ever had one that you did for a client that you had, like if you're doing stuff for the DOT and you have a different layer you have to do, you would do this save down here and save it as a WVDOT or whatever, DOH, whatever it's called. And then you would load that up and it would put all of the things you put in here for that into this default situation. So now though, if you do this auto annotate, and if I choose lines, right now we're not going to use line tables, so you're going to see when this comes up, it's going to label this little side piece over here, and it's going to be too big probably. So if I choose that, and so that's, well, that would actually doesn't fit too bad. However, what I might want to change is this, for the angle. That's the defaults. I want to do that auto annotate again. And when that comes up right now, it's going to look like this distance on top, angle underneath it, but it's both on the top side of the line. So I'm going to put my angle as row 1 above, but my distance I'm going to put as row 1 below. And it would look like this right here now. And so if I do that, then it should erase the previous. There we go. So that now puts your bearing on the top and your distance on the bottom. And as you see over here, you know, it looks to be sized correctly. And
yeah,
you can decide whether you want them to be over and under, or if you want them all on the top. And you simply do that by, when you run that command, either auto annotate, or
I
you
never
may
do auto
also,
annotation.
you do like
I do
annotate
angle distance.
right here, angle distance. Yeah, so now you can, that lets you choose that arrangement, you know, bearing beside distance or bearing over distance, or here's your bearing beside distance. So you could do that, but if you did that for this one, it's going to do, you know, there's that one. Oh, it does it segment by segment. And so if I did it there, it would, what to happen there? Let me see. Take. This one. then if I did that bearing distance, if I chose that. Yeah, see that's what puts it up there. So. And apparently it does it segment by segment, so that's not bad. So if I chose angle distance and because I knew that one, I needed to have one over the other, I would put bearing over distance for this one. And then I might put bearing beside distance on the outside of this. Oh, very good. Okay, so I didn't realize it let you do it segment by segment. If you do
Yeah,
an
that's
auto
how I
annotate,
normally do it.
yeah, and that's good. It gives you that control. If you do an auto annotate, it puts everything the same. So, but it does
I
the
don't like
entire
auto annotate.
polyline. Yeah, it'll do the entire polyline as you go around. So that part's good. Now I'll take these back off so you can go back to working on this thing and put them. Or do you want? Well, no, that's not even going to be the
I'm
line.
good. I'm good.
All right, so there we go. So whenever you readjust that, then you can fix that accordingly. All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, now notice what I've done, like an idiot. You see here, we've been moving this. I've been zooming in and out while I was in here because I forgot we hadn't locked it yet.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to change that scale now back to 1 inch equals 50 feet. And click outside of it there. Let me now come back into it and pull this, reposition it back where we needed it. So that's going to be where we're going to need it. I'm going to come out, double click, and I'm going to lock it this time so that we don't do that again. Okay. And then save that, and you should be good to go with that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You are most welcome. Again, I'll post the recordings up. I'll put them together in a single and send it your way.
Very good.
All righty. Oh, let's see, what do we got going on out here? We got something here. What is this? Oh, that was a dot that responds to your annotation scaling. It's a block called SPT5. So instead of being 4, that needs to be 0.08. 0.08. And we'll make that 1. Oops. 0.08. And so now, there we go.
Okay.
All righty.
Very good.
And with that, we'll save that and we'll chat with you next.
Okay. And you're going to send me a copy of this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the video. Yeah. I mean, you've got the file right now on your end.
Right. Right.
So look it up. We'll talk to you